Hey everyone, today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 giant monster movies. Or kaiju movies, if you prefer that. I say giant monster movie because, well, there are some movies on this list that aren't necessarily considered kaiju movies, so better safe than sorry. I am limiting myself to one movie per franchise, otherwise this would literally be 70% Godzilla movies. Before I forget, spoiler alert. So with all that in mind, number 10 is Rampage. This is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen, but it's entertaining as hell. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's accent is not great, but the rest of the acting is fine. The monster design is awesome and pretty creative, honestly. The CGI is pretty damn good. What makes this movie work at all, besides The Rock's charm, is the action. It's exactly what you would want for this kind of movie, just big monsters fighting to the death.
Shit! Of course, the wolf flies.
And yeah, the humans are not the best, but they're fine. This is a textbook example of a big dumb monster movie. Just shut your brain off and have a fun time. My score is 2.9 out of 5. Number 9 is Space Amoeba. Ishiro Honda was one of the best directors of kaiju movies in film history. The man gave us the OG Godzilla, Varan, King Kong vs. Godzilla, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Frankenstein vs. Baragon, Invasion of Astro Monster, Destroy All Monsters, and 3 other movies on this list. Space Amoeba isn't one of his best movies, but it's still pretty damn good. The monster design helps them stand out, even if they're not the most memorable. The acting, writing, and the music are all pretty good, and overall this is just a fun movie. The score is 3 out of 5. Speaking of Ishiro Honda, number 8 is Rodan. This is definitely an underrated one. The serious tone makes it play out more like a horror movie than most monster movies of the era, and it works. The acting is good, the writing is better, and the creatures hold up pretty well, especially compared to other early kaiju movies. I also love that there are multiple monsters instead of just one. My score is 3.25 out of 5. Number 7 is Cloverfield. Matt Reeves has come a long way since this movie, man. It's not the best found footage movie or the best monster movie, but it does a great job of blending the two. The monster design is great, and I love that we get some little monsters as well as the big one. The practical and digital effects both hold up. The characters aren't the best, but they're fleshed out enough that you kind of care about them. And there are just so many memorable moments, like the bombing.
Oh God. Those aren't gonna hit us, are they? Oh my God, they hit it! They just hit it right now! Look, you guys, they just hit it! They hit it with... Oh my God! Yeah, they hit it! You guys, they hit it! Down, down, down!
happens after one of them gets bit. The score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 6 is Mothra. Ishiro Honda's third movie on this list is one of the better kaiju origin movies I've seen. It also has some of the best acting in any 60s monster movie. The movie is pretty damn suspenseful. The writing is good and the music is great. Unlike most monster movies, you actually care about the human characters, so that's something. And I know this isn't unusual for monster movies, but I love that the monster here isn't portrayed as evil, just in opposition. If anything, it's the humans who are evil. Well, at least some of them. The score is 4 out of 5. Number 5 is The War of the Gargantuas. I don't know if this movie had a higher budget than other kaiju movies of the era, or if the filmmakers just did a better job spending their money. But either way, the production value here is much higher than you usually see in monster movies of the 60s and even the 70s. The action is great, and unlike most monster movies, there's actually a deeper meaning behind it than just who can win in a fight. Like, they're actually fighting for a reason. This is Ishiro Honda's fourth and final movie on this list, and it's one of his best. The score is 4.1 out of 5. Number 4 is Pacific Rim. This isn't just a big dumb monster movie. It's a big dumb monster movie made by smart people, which is the best kind of big dumb monster movie, because it's not actually dumb. The whole sequence where they're trying to find a drift partner for Raleigh is brilliant.
Remember, it's about compatibility. It's a dialogue, not a fight. But I'm not gonna dial down my moves.
Okay. Then neither will I.
One zero.
1-1.
2-1. Concentrate.
Better watch it.
The Jaegers and the kaiju are epic, and the cinematography really sells how huge they are. The music is pretty dope, too.
Engage.
The score is 4.5 out of 5. Number 3 is the original King Kong. This movie is a classic for a fucking reason. It has writing as great as Peter Jackson's King Kong, but it's not 3 hours long. The special effects still hold up pretty well almost 90 years later. The music is good, the acting is great for the time, and the action holds up pretty damn well too. The score is 4.8 out of 5. Number 2 is Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris. This is peak Gamera. The plot is character-driven, and the characters are actually fleshed out and have clear motivations, and the main characters grow throughout the film. The music and the acting are great, and the monsters and action are the best in the Gamera franchise.
Holy God.
Iris is a solid villain and a great representation of how the desire for revenge can often take us down a road we don't want to go, or at least farther down the road than we intended to go. That score is 4.9 out of 5, and for those of you who have seen my Gamera ranking, I'll explain at the end. Finally, number 1 is Shin Godzilla. This movie is a frickin' masterpiece. This is the first time a Japanese Godzilla has been portrayed solely by CGI, and he looks great. This is definitely the scariest Godzilla we've seen so far. This isn't just a monster movie, it's also a political satire, poking fun at all the bureaucratic red tape that the Japanese government, and governments in general, have to cut through to get shit done. This movie has the best human drama in the Godzilla franchise, and you actually care about the characters. The action scenes are outstanding. Like the American Monsterverse, the CG monster allows for low-angle shots that make Godzilla look and feel huge, which is something the classic Godzilla movies generally lacked. The musical score is one of the best in the franchise, especially the operatic vocals when the B-2 bombers attack. The score is 5 out of 5. Alright, so, as promised, in explanation, I gave Gamera 3 a different score than I did in my Gamera ranking, and here's why. I'm rounding. The scores get rounded to the nearest half star. Whenever I have multiple movies that I would give the same rating, say 3.5 out of 5, or 5 out of 5, or whatever, I'll bump one of them up or down a decimal place in order to show I like this one slightly better or slightly worse. So for this list, I give the top 3 5 out of 5, but I need to differentiate, so Gamera 3 gets knocked down to 4.9, and King Kong gets knocked down to 4.8. But in reality, those get rounded up. So if something is 0.25 or 0.75, that means it's the bare minimum for the next half star up. I'm sure most of you didn't care, but for those of you who do, I figured I'd give an explanation. And that's all for now. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, subscribe anyway so you can tell me how bad my other stuff is. That's all for today. Stay safe in these crazy times.